Good evening and welcome to November Foxtrot. How are you doing?
Good.
We're joined this week by Rob, aka Rageophile.
Evening.
The legend, that is.
After several jokes about canteens and Swish and the like, he's decided he's going to join us. And
didn't mention it. I didn't mention Swish at all then.
I thought we'd just get it out of the way early.
How do I leave? Tell me how I leave. I can't see it. Fucking Swish should have something big and heavy.
Wait till you see the banner come across just your little screen there. With arrows.
I buy a toothbrush. Just buy a
I'm sorry. I thought we'd just get it out of the way early. You know, it was going to come up at some point.
It's not fair.
I've even got my little sawn-off toothbrush that I raised it.
You are? What's that?
My little sawn-off toothbrush. There it is.
I mean, does that much of a toothbrush make that much of a difference to how much shit you can take with you? Like, yeah. I mean, like that much of a toothbrush you've thought of.
That sits on top of a lighter now, see?
If you're running out of water in your canteen, you know, it's...
Right, the next event, Rage, I'll see you at, mate, and you're asking me for a lighter. I'm going to say no. The reason I haven't got a lighter for you to borrow is because I had to bring a full-size toothbrush because of you.
Oh, okay, yeah, because you've got no room in your pockets.
Yeah, exactly, exactly that.
Yeah, you know, God forbid.
Hi, Les, James, Andy, Harry, Fresh Meat, and Ratty. Nice to see you.
Even know. Who's start?
So, should we start with some Pew's news and reviews?
Pew's news and Bonnie McGrew's, yeah, why not?
Do you want to go through some of the reviews? We've had some weird ones.
Yeah, I'm not going to lie.
Let's start with the not weird ones first.
No, you should start with the weird ones first because, you know.
Do we want to weird out straight away?
No, let's go with Cove and Ollie.
Okay, so this is the first one came in from Cove and Ollie. 5-star review. Thank you very much for that. So, one of the best Airsoft / MilSim podcasts, I'm guessing, out there. It's a screenshot, so I can't actually click on it. One of the best and funniest Airsoft-related podcasts going. Now, if they could just stop mentioning or describing intriguing kit on the podcast that I have never heard of or can't imagine as I listen driving in the car, and I wouldn't need to also watch the whole thing again on YouTube. Sneaky, lol. Keep it up, guys. So we thank you for that, Cove and Ollie. What else do we have here? Really useful podcast. This is from Banana Gun 161. Ooh. Started listening to this a few months ago. Really enjoy listening to Lance and Mike talk all things Airsoft. It has really helped me get into it, particularly MilSims. Definitely worth a listen to if you're interested in Airsoft. So thank you very much for that. And
it starts to go a bit strange.
Well, no, we're all right for this one. So this is Beast Mode 1973. Okay. Good podcast, 5 stars. I enjoy this as I learn a lot about Airsoft and camping equipment. Straight to the point, what we like. And now Is this the weird one?
This is the weird one.
This is a 5-star review from Airsoft Bitch. Amazing podcast, and I love listening to this every week with lots of laughs, but I still learn something, and the podcast just gets better each week. Lance sounds like he would be a great team captain as he would look after you, sort of like a dad. Mike would be a laugh to hang out with, and he is pretty cute too. I haven't done a MilSim yet, but if I do, then I hope I will be in their team. So thank you, Airsoft.
I mean,
bitch.
thank you,
whoever
for the review.
you are. Yeah.
If you look really closely on Mike's screen, you can see the dude that sent that hiding out that window in a bush. So,
just like Buffalo Bill with his greens on.
Exactly. Yeah.
So yeah, lovely reviews this week. Very nice.
Thank you
for that. Daddy, Captain Dad.
It's a bit creepy.
Andy says, by the way, Lance, looks like you've got some competition for most luxurious beard.
Oh no, I'm second place to this, mate.
It's not even competition. I'm sorry, Andy, but I've got two
there.
Fists worth of beard.
I've got a fist. No, not even a fist. 3/4 of a fist.
What I would say is yours is far better groomed than mine.
So what we're saying is Rage can take 2 fists, whereas I'm just getting onto 1.
Because you're an amateur.
Exactly. It's just there. Mike's
I literally had a shave before the episode, so I had to cut my beard back.
Mike's is easy wipe down.
I don't think I've used a razor for about 10 years.
Really?
Really? Yeah. It's probably about 10 years. Well,
It's like watching some sort of bear and cub meet.
I mean, as long as I'm the bear, I can take that. I'll take that. Do you know what I mean? I'll take that.
Very good.
Paulus Wales. Nice to see you. Have I tuned into a weird beard podcast featuring a man who is clearly a beard newbie? Oh, for fuck's sake!
Mind you, it is like we are at scales where it's up to Mike, then to me, and obviously down to Rage. The transition.
Beard virgin.
That's what a proper beard looks like.
Nice. Well, do you sleep with it tucked under the cover or over the top? Is that blown your mind? Are you going to be thinking about that tonight?
When it's like, I won't lie, and I don't, I do this. I took it in my t-shirt when it's really cold. I genuinely do. I took it in, and it keeps the foot of my neck warm. So, yeah. But I'm not going to lie, I do. So. But I'm old. I'm getting old. Do you know what I mean? There was that time when I wouldn't care. Now I'm like, oh, it's cold. I need my slippers on.
Because you're quite a tall bloke as well, right? See, do you ever like try and stand?
6'3".
Yeah. So do you ever try and stand behind sort of like shorter bald geezers and just sort of like try and design hairdos for them? Just like in a queue or something, just like whoop.
No, although I might try that now.
Could you try that for me, please? Try and film it.
I think I might get arrested, but yeah, I'll give it a try. I mean, I'm one step away
this
from
would look really good on you.
No.
So that's it for Beard Foxtrot. Join us next week.
Next week, yeah. No, next week we're talking about Mohicans. Or Mohicans, yeah.
Woohoo! I can kind of slightly.
I'm not taking his hat off.
No, it's fine. It's fine. Paulus Wales. Oh my God, he's finally said my name right. Yeah, I know you met Lance at one of the events. And
we did it last October, yeah.
Yeah, he's been teaching me. So
we've been in some after-school activities after the podcast. Me and Mike, some elocution.
Yeah. Hi Ian. Hi Les. Hi Danny. Mark. I think that's it. Cool. Right. So this week we are going into first aid. This is the second in our skills and drills. So we're going to be learning all things
skills and drills, medical,
and when ultimately shit hits the fan and red stuff genuinely starts oozing out and Rage has just left.
Rage is like, you know what? Fuck this. Fuck this. All right.
Sorry, Rage went to go get beer.
Rage went to get beer.
Sorry.
Rage is rubbing it in because I can't drink beer tonight. I've got to have coffee. So he's just like absolutely smashing a 12-pack.
Yep. Yes, I am.
Oh, poor man's right.
Yeah, poor man's right. Right. Rage, do you want to introduce yourself? Give us a bit of an idea of who you are, how you got into Airsoft, your background.
It's weird saying Rageophile because that's
Sorry,
obviously
Rob.
not my name. But my name's Rob. I'm a nurse by profession and have been for 10 years. Yeah, 10 years. And I kind of got into Airsoft, I know, a couple of years ago, maybe a year before the pandemic. So, and then I've just tried to get into MilSim and then finally started doing it. Was it last year or this year? Was that event that I went to with you guys?
Oh, was that last year or this year?
No, this year.
It was this year. God, blimey.
There you go. So this year,
yeah,
because it was before. It was before I had a child, and it wasn't that much before. So,
of course, yeah, because you had boob class, didn't you?
I did.
Yeah.
And he was making his murder bag, obviously.
That's it goes about saying, yeah. All the things you need to do preparing for your first child: murder bag, boob class.
Job done. Anyway, sorry, interrupted.
Sorry, Rob.
And that's it. There's not a lot about me really. I'm quite bored.
Cool. So, in terms of your medical sort of skill set, where does that come from? Because obviously you know a lot more about medical stuff than we do.
So, I suppose some of it comes from I was in the army for a fair while before I was a nurse. So some of it comes from there, and then obviously being a nurse, there's some shit that you just have to do. You have to be taught it. And then I've done like quite a few extra courses, so I can suture, I can glue, I used to teach sepsis. I don't really do that anymore, mainly because I don't have time, but I used to do all the sepsis training for the staff in the trust that I work for. But yeah, so I'm ILS and trained. Fucking hell, yeah. It's hard to quantify it all because there's a lot. But yeah, a lot of it comes from nursing. Because I'm a psychiatric nurse, a lot of the physical health stuff you kind of have to add on yourself, or you have to go and do courses because you're not necessarily taught it. You talk about psychiatric issues and not, the basics of obviously physical interventions. But when I first qualified, I worked in brain injury for a couple of years, so I had to develop quite a significant amount of physical health skills because. Yeah, it's not like awakenings. People that have traumatic brain injuries, they've generally got quite a lot of other injuries and quite a lot of other issues. So you kind of have to learn all of it. Do you know what I mean? Like I can read ECGs, all that sort of stuff.
Fair play, mate. So a lot of feathers in the cap then.
It sounds like a lot, but for considering what I do, it's about right. Do you know what I mean? Like, I get that I'm saying I'm thinking that there's a lot, but then I'm also thinking, well, it's not that I work with people that have got more skills or less skills. It's just because of that how my career went, because I did brain injury for a few years. I had to brush up on the physical, like I did. Do you know what I mean? So a lot of people in mental health might not necessarily have those skills, but they might have other skills. Do you know what I mean? It's just my career progression. It just meant that I had to learn different shit.
Fair play,
and
mate.
that is the technical term that they use in the NHS as well. Technical shit. That is what they say.
What do you do exactly? Oh, we do loads of technical shit. I'm
technical
not going to bother
shit.
with it.
We fix fuckers.
Yeah, it's like we get visits on the railway at night time. So what's going on here, guys? All sorts of shit, mate, going on down there. Nothing that'll interest you though. You stay up here, buddy. It's fine.
See, I work in drainage and literally sewers and stuff like that. So yeah. I actually have all sorts of shit going on.
Yeah.
I can't hit my desk because the camera turns off. So I'm unable to drum roll.
High class gear.
Yeah, mate, it is. Yeah, spare no expense. Black Friday sales. Yeah, whatever. It's like 100 quid. Get it down for £50. I was like, okay. Yeah, this really is not 50 quid's worth.
I got given when I started this job. I got given a laptop and all that stuff because before that I worked on the woods, and then they gave me a webcam, and I had to phone our IT department to tell me how I use a webcam. I mean, I got that you plug it in and shit. I understand. I'm not completely stupid, but I've never done a webcam, and all that's going through my head is why is someone giving me a webcam? Number one, why do you own a webcam? Number two, and do I want to clean it? Because I can't think of any other reason other than fucking rude things. Why someone would own a webcam? I really don't. Like, why would you own a webcam? I mean, it doesn't make any fucking sense because you've got a laptop and that's got a camera in it. So why is you own a webcam?
Ah, you say that. My boss recently had a new laptop delivered without a webcam in it. So he's genuinely sitting there for the first 10, 15 minutes of this meeting going, hello. His laptop doesn't have a webcam.
Genius.
Right. So obviously we're talking first aid. So Lance, do you want to throw out obviously we were discussing risks last week. Do you want to throw out a sort of a risk of injury, and then we'll get Ray to sort of give us some advice on how to heal it or deal with it, I guess.
I suppose
heal and deal.
Turn and burn. I suppose common ones you'd encounter perhaps on a MilSim or even as even a skirmish day, I suppose. I'm gonna go with like a head, like a knock to the head or something like that. Like going through a doorway, you got someone's got a lid on, or maybe not, or you got obscure vision, and you clonked your head on something, or even nighttime through woodland branches and shit like that coming at you.
I knew there was a reason I put this in my pocket. I knew there was a reason for that. That is not. It depends what you've done. Like, I suppose the first thing you want to think about, especially if you've not got head protection on and you nail your head on something and you cut it, heads bleed like a bastard. They just bleed like a bastard because there's so many little blood vessels and there's quite a lot of pressure to take that blood up there. So head wounds bleed like a bastard. So people always think, oh my God, there's like 4 gallons of blood and my head's going to fall off. And actually it'll be a tiny little cut and a lot of blood out of your body. Sorry, a little bit of blood out of your body looks like a lot of blood. Like it really does look like a lot of blood. So the first thing is you want to clean it up and just have a look at it, because obviously if it's a bad cut, there's not really a lot you can do about it other than if you've got to dress somewhere, then you're going to need to go to hospital. But otherwise, you just kind of put a bit of pressure on it and that'll stop the bleeding. The thing about banging your head is all of the other things that can happen. Like, I know anyone that's sort of my age, they used to say, as long as there's a lump, you're okay. That's kind of bullshit.
I remember hearing that kid. As long as the lump comes out straight away, it's bollocks. It's just utter bollocks. Whether you've got a big lump or not a big lump,
there's things to look out for. The important one is and I think it's more important for if you see someone nail the head, is if people start to be sick. Because that's not a sit them down and make sure they're okay, give them water. That's sit them down and phone an ambulance. Because that's one of the symptoms of concussion is like after you bang your head is you start vomiting, and it's generally concussion's not a good thing. You know what I mean? I mean it's not it's not a heart attack, but it's not a good thing because it just essentially means you bruise your brain. But then there's other things. So if like they lose consciousness, you need to phone a fucking ambulance. Do you know what I mean? I mean, I've got this. This is like my little torch that I carry everywhere. I don't know if you can see that everywhere. It's a little O-light torch. And the reason I carry this one is because it's got 2 settings. I don't know if you can see that.
Yeah.
So the first set, that one, you could do a pupillary test with that. I wouldn't advise people to do a pupillary test because unless you know what it is that you're looking at, it's kind of pointless. But I carry one for that reason.
You've got eyes.
Yeah, you're looking for a pupillary response. You expect them to react in a certain time and go back in a certain time, and you want them both to be the same. But again, I wouldn't do that unless you know what you're looking for, kind of thing. But yeah, if someone loses consciousness, you're going to need to phone them. Even if it's like for 2 seconds, you want to be phone. If not phone an ambulance, taking them to hospital. Because anytime you lose consciousness after a head injury, you need to go and have some shit done to you.
Yeah, that should be ringing alarm bells for people, shouldn't it, really?
Yeah. But a lot of the time, I think for your average everyday bang, it's just going to suck for a little bit and sit down. It's actually quite normal to feel a little bit out of sorts and a little bit dizzy after a head. You've nailed your head. If you feel dizzy for an hour, that's not so normal. But like a few seconds, a minute, that's fine. But yeah, just sit down, chill, make sure you're okay. Have a little pat. If there's blood, I mean, a lot of the time you'll find there's blood, but it won't be a bad cut. If you can dress it, put a plaster on it. But generally, I would say don't bother because unless you're me, I've not got a lot of hair on the front of my head. But most people have got hair, and you're not going to get a dressing on hair. You're just not. You know what I mean? So you just hold like one of your dressings onto it if it's bleeding quite a bit till it stops, then you'll be fine. Right. But the important thing is if you vomit, or if you see someone vomit after they bang the head, you really need to just phone an ambulance. Don't even take them to hospital, just phone an ambulance. You know what I mean? Because it's the first sign of concussion, and concussion could then mean that you've got a more serious injury. It doesn't, most time it doesn't, but that's what your concern is that going to be a more serious?
Yeah, by leaving it, are you going to escalate it further then, aren't you?
Yeah, basically, yeah, kind of, yeah. Because you also get, like, concussion is a contusion, bruising your brain, and from a bruise you can get a bleed. And generally speaking, well, not generally, brains bleeding isn't really a good thing. You know what I mean? It's like one of those things that you can probably live without your brain bleeding, generally, not a good thing.
No, fair play, mate. Nice. Like it.
Cool. Mike Brewer says, Rage, how would you deal with a bilateral periorbital ecchymosis? I don't know what that is.
Bilateral periorbital.
Well, I know ECMO is about it's an ITU, so they do it in ITU. It's about I'm not an ITU nurse, so I might be fucking wrong here, Mr. Mike Brewer. But ECMO is about the perfusion of oxygen into your lungs. So a bilateral periorbital would probably mean that it's forcing it, I would argue, into both lobes of your lungs, both your lungs. But ECMO is all about how the perfusion of oxygen through your bloodstream, I believe. But again, not a fucking ICU nurse, so I might be wrong.
Pete's just thrown that in there, isn't he?
Yeah. Apparently it's raccoon eye.
Well, there you go then.
Raccoon eye?
Anyway, cool. Andy Bob says ankle injuries, I would say, are more common in airsoft. So yeah, let's talk about ankle injuries next. So
we touched on this on our pre-briefing list, didn't we?
Yeah. So obviously you were talking about there's like a difference between sprained and rolled ankles and things like that.
Yeah. Like 99% of people that say I've just sprained my ankle, they haven't, because a sprain is actually a real injury, like a break. And in a lot of cases, a sprain can be as bad, if not worse, than a break, because it means that you've torn ligaments, which is generally bad. And if you'd sprained your ankle, you'd know, because it instantly swells up and there's a lot of pain. Do you know what I mean? I mean, the first thing to do, unless, like, I think if you roll your ankle, like, if you just go over on your ankle, the common thing that people do is that they take the boots off. And the problem with taking your boots off is even if you have just, like, rolled it and that hurts a little bit, it's going to swell up, and then you might not get your boots back on. You're better off just leaving them on. Do you know what I mean? If you've like proper hurt it, and you know, I can't tell you what to look. You know if it's a real thing or if it's just like, oh, that fucking hurt, or oh shit, my foot's going to fall off. Then you need to take it off. But a good thing to have is what I said this the other day, is what you people call camo tape, but I know it's physio tape, and I've got a roll in my. This is like my personal first aid kit, like a one for us. And it comes on a tube, and if you take the tube off, it flattens down to like that size, and you can fit it in. And this is really good stuff, really good for strapping up limbs like wrists and ankles. I mean, you could probably get away with an elbow as well. Although I don't really know why you'd want to strap up your elbow. You know, you're better off with a splint. If you hurt your elbow, you probably don't want to strap it up. But it's really good shit, and
so it's almost less like the self-sticking gun wrap tape in it. If you can your two-tone up
so
from the event and then take it off again.
That's camo. It's not sticky. It's kind of
yeah.
I don't know if you can.
Yeah, I know.
It just wraps back on.
Yeah.
I want to say I paid about £6 for many rolls that are in the drawers behind me. Like many, I think I got about 10 rolls for £6. It's not expensive, but it's really good, and it's good for like just fixing shit as well. Do you know what I mean? Because you can get it on and get it off quite easily. But it's good for like because I climb as well. It's good for like bracing things if you fucking rip a finger out, or like when you've wedged it, it can be sore. That's the stuff. Yeah, I mean it's exactly the same stuff. Exactly the same stuff. But I imagine how much for how many?
I think that's possibly just the one.
Yeah, because it's someone's selling it to you lot because it's got camo on it, whereas this shit is dirt cheap, like dirt cheap. Do you know what I mean? And it's the same stuff, but yeah, even that stuff. If you've got that stuff, it's good. You can wrap it round, and if you're going to strap up a limb, and it's easy with ankles and wrists, it needs to be tight enough to actually do something. Because it's not tight enough, it's not going to do anything. But if it's too tight, it'll cut off the circulation. And a good rule of thumb is like with feet and hands is so you kind of look for the extremities to go blue. But what you really mean is if you squeeze your finger like that, you can see it going red. If your fingers are like really red, it's too tight. So you know what I mean? Undo it and redo it, right? So that it works. Then get your boot back on, take it easy. But generally speaking, like a roll or something, you're going to run it off in a day, maybe. Do you know what I mean? It's not really going to last much longer than a day. A sprain, though, that's again, you need to go to hospital. You need to go to hospital because you're going to need to wear an orthotic, which is like a splint. Because it's bad. Sprains are bad. And like I think I said to you the other day, like if I showed you someone with a broken ankle, as long as it wasn't an open fracture, which means the bone sticking out, and showed you a sprained ankle, you're probably not going to know the fucking difference. They're both going to look horrific with like funny colours and lots of swelling and stuff. So.
Mm-hmm.
Sorry, I'm doing multiple things at the same time. I am listening, I promise. Mike's what I was doing basically. Mike's just been WhatsApping me, Mike Brewer. He says he's an EMT3 and he apologises. He didn't mean to put you on the spot. He's just being a dick, basically.
Mate, I would have done the same, to be fair. You know what I mean? But as I said, I don't fucking know. I'm guessing because my mate's an ICU nurse and he talks about ECMO. Do you know what I mean? And explained it to me one day. That's the only thing that I don't fucking know. I've worked in psychiatric intensive care units, but they're not the same. They're not the same as a normal ICU.
Fair news. Paul Aswale says, I think the most preventable injuries at Airsoft originated from overexertion, both in terms of lack of fitness and dehydration. What frustrates me with Airsoft is the amount we all spend on kit and the neglect of basic first aid training, especially carrying a TQ without having any training in using it.
Yeah, don't get me started, dude. Because I wouldn't allow them on airsoft sites. I wouldn't. I wouldn't allow a tourniquet on airsoft. Because God forbid, like inevitably, it's an outdoor sport. And lots of people do it around the country. I guarantee there's people that have been at airsoft and fucking cut themselves. Do you know what I mean? Like give themselves a good gash. I can't imagine anyone's had an arterial bleed, which is what you would use a tourniquet for. But they've had given it. And my concern is I've also met lots of airsoft players, and like, I mean, I'm going to sound like a cunt, but a lot of them aren't the sharpest tools in the box. Like, they're just not the sharpest tools in the box. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
And I just have visions of some dude like putting a tourniquet around someone's head, or like round the bottom of someone's arm, and then like, well, that dude's just lost his fucking arm. You know what I mean? Like, I just ban them. There's no point to them. You can buy those white. I want to say Enola Game.
You can get the training ones, can't you? That don't actually constrict.
I wouldn't even allow the training ones, because again, there'll be people out there that will buy the training one and goes, well, I've used the training one, so now I can use the one. And it's just like, no, you can't. Like, no, you can't. I mean, that dude who's an EMT, he's going to know them. Doctors, as I said, a lot of doctors aren't taught how to fucking use a tourniquet. You know what I mean?
I mean, I like bands. I've got one on my on my rig on my battle belt, but I'd like to make it purely for the aesthetics of the fact that it's there with the trauma scissors behind it. It's purely that is what it's there for.
I get that. When you say trauma scissors, you mean shears, don't you?
The shears, yeah.
I get it, and I understand that, because I get why a lot of people kind of like that aspect of airsoft. But I think there's too much of a nursery now to think, no, there's certain things you just don't, because there are people, you have to work to the most common denominator, and that is the reality is that some people, there's going to be a tiny percentage of people that play airsoft that genuinely think that because they've watched fucking SEAL Team, they can shoot someone in the face and put a tourniquet on someone. There just is, and it's just it's like that sort of stuff is really dangerous. Like, it's just really dangerous.
Yeah, absolutely, like 100%.
Cool. Let's talk about blisters and foot care. So obviously, we were talking about blisters last week, and obviously, I think I put myself out there and went, I pop them. I'm also a bit of a sadomasochist.
Which it's one of those things, isn't it? Because I think most people do, but if you're out and about, and I think, I come at this from your average airsoft event is maybe 2 days. You go to MilSim, it's going to be 2 days, maybe like 3 days and 2 nights. But like, if you do a lot of outdoor stuff like hiking and shit, you might be up, for a week. And the problem with bursting a blister is your body's made a blister for a reason. And if you burst it, it really does increase your risk of infection in that site, more so than just a little cut and a scratch, because of how the blisters and all the skin it's taken off. So that protection from the stuff inside isn't there anymore. Right, and again, the chance of you getting an infection, if you pop a blister on a MilSim, you're probably not going to get an infection. And if you do, it's not going to be an infection that's going to cost you your life. It's just going to be a bit red and sore for a few days and then it'll go away. But it's not the point. It's about trying not to do that. So, like blister plasters, I mean, they're an obvious thing, but they work. They work for a reason. Like, I mean, I've said this before, I use climbing tape, but it's really good stuff. It doesn't stop the pain though. Like, you rub that blister, it's going to hurt, but it'll stop it from bursting. Or what you can do is pop the blister, get the fluid out, and then tape it up. Mm-hmm. Again, I mean, I wouldn't. It's not the medical way to do it, but you generally speaking, you're going to be all right. But it's going to suck. It's going to be uncomfortable. You get a blister, generally it's going to be uncomfortable. Do you know what I mean? The key is not to get a blister in the first place. So don't rock up to a MilSim in brand spanking new boots. That's just a silly thing to do. Even like your lowers and your Iowas and your Solomons and all that sort of stuff. Yeah. They've got a more of a trainery feel inside. Even those, you run that risk, because the thing is most people aren't on their feet walking about all day, so your feet are going to swell because you're going to be on your feet, you're moving about, your feet are going to swell a bit, and that's what's going to get the blisters. So wearing the boots and breaking them in is going to help. Another thing you can do is, like, you walk. I assume that everyone wears the correct socks, which is like, if you're wearing boots, like walking boots especially, because that seems to be what a lot of lads wear, is you want kind of quite thick socks. And if you get proper walking socks, they'll be double layered, like the old-fashioned army ones were. They're double layered, so actually the socks rub on each other rather than the sock rubbing on your skin, and they'll help. But that's what you want to do, is you want to look at prevention rather than how to deal with them. Because the reality is you kind of can't. You just got to kind of suck it up and accept that it's going to suck for a little while. Do you know what I mean? I mean, you could, if it's a little blister, you could try popping it and put in. I was going to say Meepo, but you're probably not going to know what Meepo is. The dressings that you get in first aid kits that are just kind of, they look like big plasters, essentially. So I can find them. So I don't know, you can't really see that.
Is
But
that the one
that's
that's
sort
got
of,
like almost like a moisture barrier, Rob, to it? Like you can, I know my wife was giving some when she cut her finger really badly, and before they put the main dressing over it, they put like it's like a mesh, sort of like a gel.
no, that's
type.
to help it heal. That'll be probably honey, I imagine. It might be iodine, but it's generally a honey dressing. No, those sort of things. I don't know if you can see that.
Okay.
So you've got like it's just fabric with
Oh yeah,
the
like a
dressing
big
in the middle.
plaster.
One of those you can put on it because you want a bit of cushioning on it. But again, it's just going to suck, and you're just kind of going to have to suck it up. But you just want to keep it clean. And if I'm got my nurse's head on, if you're going to pop it at home where you can keep it clean and you can look after it properly. Do you know what I mean? But technically speaking, you're probably not going to die of an infection from a blister in your foot, unless if you've got diabetes, fucking don't pop it. Like, don't pop it. Do you know what I mean? Go home, let it heal itself. If you've got like type 1 diabetes, don't pop it.
Really?
Right? Just don't.
Why's that?
Yeah. Because people with diabetes can suffer circulation problems in their extremities with their feet and their hands. So even people, like if you've got it really well controlled, probably going to be all right. But like their extremities tends to take them a lot longer to heal, and they're a bit more prone to infection. I mean, anyone that doesn't Google it, you'll see lots of people with type 1 diabetes as they get older that lose feet and legs because of that. Do you know what I mean? If you're young and you're healthy and you've got it well managed, which is the key, well managed, then you'll be fine. But I'd still say just be fucking careful.
Yeah, I've got a terrible yet slightly humorous story about someone with diabetes that my gran used to know. Now, please don't judge me for this, but I found it a little bit funny. So there was a friend of my nan's. There was a friend of my nan's who had diabetes, and she lost a foot. And she was telling me about this because my nan, who's passed away now, she used to be diabetic as well. So she was like, "Oh, I've got to be really careful because otherwise I'll lose a foot." And it was only sort of throughout this conversation that it resolved that basically the lady's name was Peggy. That was quite funny. But then, so I said to my nan,
"Terrible."
You do realise she said, "Oh, you do realise the irony of your friend being called Peggy and having lost a foot." And then it turns out that the lady had then died quite sort of soon after she'd lost her foot and everything because of diabetes. So that story has like a quite a roller coaster of emotions.
Peggy, God.
It was. I think just that it was quite funny.
No, fair one, mate. Yeah, I like that.
I think that's quite funny.
Peggy.
Oh, blimey! There's a lot of chat in the chat, funnily enough, about obviously with blisters, like preventative stuff's obviously best. I mean, we've obviously kind of talked about that before, so I'm going to cherry pick a few things. Ratty said I've watched a video about sniper tape, and the chap said you could use it to prevent blisters. Is that a thing?
Sniper tape. Green, funny enough, with the green screen. I mean, I don't know. Cross. I don't know if I mean, it is adhesive one side, material cover. It's no. I mean, feel wise, it's not much different to that zinc Dubry tape. This one here.
Mm.
You see, in my head, I'm thinking no, because anywhere like a blister's formed from a pressure area. So you start putting tape. Bear in mind, tape's is really adhesive. I suppose the tape might rub, but you're also not at risk of the tape shifting large areas of skin to rub against each other rather than a small area. I mean, I wouldn't say so. You'd use it to protect a dressing, like I said, like Hymen tape. Like you get calluses here and on your fingers, and if you rip one or you don't want to rip, then you wrap it in Hymen tape, and it fucking hurts, but it stops it from ripping. Do you know what I mean?
When we spoke yesterday, Rob, about when you said some plasters, when you get in if you bought a basic first aid kit, all the other dressings should be good, but the basic plasters are a bit shit. But I suppose with that respect, then regarding sniper tape, you could whack a basic plaster over the blister area and then put some sniper tape over the top of that, perhaps.
Yeah. If you put a dressing, then yeah, or even you don't need to get at that. You could use so you can buy. Oh, fucking hell, what's it called? You can buy like a sterile dressing that's like cotton on one side and it's like shiny on the inside. For the life I can't remember the fucking name of it. You can buy that. It's dirt cheap. A lot of first aid kits have them in. Put that on it and then wrap that and then put sniper tape over it. Yeah, bang on, boom. You're fucking golden. Because it gives you a bit of cushioning. But ultimately, as I said, once you've got a blister, even you put loads of padding on it, it's going to suck. It's just going to hurt. You know what I mean? Well,
That might be one of them. Adhesive wound dressing. Boom.
no, because you want the non-adhesive ones. I might have one in this one.
I definitely know these have got the shiny backs to them, but then I've got the nice cotton.
Yeah, but you get
padded
adhesive ones and you
inside
get non-adhesive ones. You just want a
Oh,
non-adhesive
okay.
one, put that on, and then just slap it on the tape.
Right,
But no,
with you.
for the life of me, I can't
I've got
remember
them.
what it's really called. I think it's just called a sterile dressing, yeah. Right. And obviously, if you're going to take, if you're going to take dressings, you need shears. They're good for looking cool, but once you've used them a couple of times, they're shit. They don't work. These are quite expensive, but
Are they all
really
Leatherman
well.
about?
No, these are proper medical shears.
Oh,
But the Leatherman, get one of these.
Ooh.
These are fucking wicked. They are nearly £100, but they'll last you forever. Like, you'll cut people's clothes off with them. They've got they're good to have in your car
for medical purposes.
Yeah. For the murder bag.
These aren't going to be in the murder bag or anything.
anyone that works in the medical profession that didn't do it so that they could finger unconscious people is lying. That's the only reason we do it. It's the only reason. Do you know what I'm saying? That's it. Now you know why I wanted to make sure that no one could see my ID badge, so no one could report me.
Oh yeah. Because you're inconspicuous.
I'm joking, by the way. Yeah, exactly. But yeah, if those Leatherman ones have got these, one of these, it's a seatbelt cutter, which is awesome. Like, it's really good. It will cut for a seatbelt. I've tried it. Right, but yeah, they're about £100. Sometimes you'll get them for £80. They're Leatherman. I think it's Leatherman Rescue Tool, I think they're called. But they're wicked. They're wicked things to have. And you can just stuff them in a pocket, in a pouch. Like, mine are actually out on my desktop at the minute because I was using them for something else over there. But they'll fit in anything. Do you know what I mean? You can even buy, I think I've got it in here. You can buy like a holster for them that'll fit into webbing. And it's like a plastic little holster for them so you can get them out quick. I mean, if that fellow's an EMT, I would imagine he knows people that use them. So, you know what I mean? There you go, £95. They're fucking banging. They are banging. Yeah, that's the thing. They're banging. No, they are banging. No.
There you go. Get it on Leatherman right now with free standard delivery on orders over £50. Not a sponsor.
Not a sponsor.
Yeah.
But it's Leatherman, in it, so you can guarantee the quality. I'm guessing that comes with a lifetime guarantee being Leatherman as well.
Leatherman, yeah. Well, it's just
not that you'd need it with Leatherman. So
you are paying for quality, mate. I mean,
100%.
Yeah. I'm a big fan. I mean, I've got the little squirt as well. I've got the squirt. I've got another little mini one as well. Yeah, I've got a few. I'm big fan, mate.
I thought I had one on my desk. Oh, there it is. Yeah, that's the Wave.
Yeah, well, that's a cool one. That's one of the ones I've not got. I think I've got the Skelly tool.
I've got the mutt. I've got the Leatherman mutt, but that's over in my leg there. That's the military utility tool or something like that stands for. But that's a wicked bit of kit. So that knife on that is razor sharp.
Yeah. I am just while we're talking Leatherman, I managed to snap. I don't know if you can see that the end of the pliers off. So
using it incredibly, I can imagine.
I was trying to fix my bike. Actually, one of the teeth on my bike had warped or bent out of shape. So I tried to grab the end of the bike and just kind of pry it back, and took the end of the Leatherman off.
If you send it back to them, they'll repair it or replace it.
I didn't know.
You do have to send it to them though. Right.
Yeah, that's fine.
Yeah, you do have to send it to them, but they're really good. Like if shit don't work, they're really good. They're really good about that.
Well, it's the name in it. It stood the test of time, and it really the old Leatherman.
Yeah, my mate's got a Leatherman that his old man got when he joined the RAF when he was like fucking 16, and his old man's I don't know, he's fucking 60, 70 as well. Because we're going for fucking years, isn't it?
That's right. So next on the list, we had. Sorry, I've got jumping around differently. I've lost it now. Oh, where's it gone? Oh,
what we covered there? We covered head. We got
hypothermia.
Oh yeah, that'd be a good one. Obviously, the season we're in now.
Right.
I think again, in the UK, in England, I should say, I'm not going to say in the UK, in England, where you play airsoft, the chance of you getting hypothermia, if you're sensible, are pretty slim. Do you know what I mean? But it's you don't want to be treating hypothermia. You just don't. You want to be, because if you actually start down that hypothermia pathway, that's your fucking weekend over. Do you know what I mean? It is. You're gonna want to stop and go and get fucking warm. So it's about being, making sure you've got appropriate layers. The important thing, especially in the winter, is to remember that you're gonna sweat like a bastard. Even when it's cold, you're gonna exert yourself. And what a lot of people do is they exert themselves and they sweat, and their underlayer gets wet because they sweat, and then they stop and it gets cold, so they just fucking put more clothes on. When actually that's not a good thing, because that t-shirt's wet. Do you know what I mean? And I know it sounds ridiculous, but if you fucking change it, put something else on. Don't put warm clothes on wet clothes, because it's counterintuitive, and you're probably not going to warm up.
Yeah.
But yeah, don't fucking get hypothermia. But once you start, everyone. I mean, if you're going to do outdoor shit, have a first aid kit on you. If you're not going to carry a first aid kit, then when something happens, don't phone a fucking ambulance, because you know what? You weren't prepared, so it's your own stupid fault.
Yeah, I mean, the majority of times, if you are out and about, I'm going to sort of put my neck on the line, sort of 60-70% of things that happen out in the field, you could probably well deal with yourself, cuts, scrapes,
yeah.
Things like that.
Most of them, yeah. A lot of things, exactly. A lot of things that people phone an ambulance for could have been dealt with early enough before the need for an ambulance. But carry one of them.
Yeah, got that in your kit.
Carry one of them. I mean, it's what it says on the tin. It's a full blanket. If they're really cold, you're probably never going to have to use it. You're never going to have to use it, but it's better to have it and not need it than need it and not have it. It's like, it's getting cold. When you're driving about, put a bottle of water and a blanket in the boot of your fucking car.
That's it.
Do you know what I mean? Just a blanket and a bottle of water. That's going to do you for 24 hours. Do you know what I mean? Right. It's the same sort of attitude, right? But it's about layers, wear appropriate layers, and know this. Spot the warning signs. When people start shivering, and the extremities go blue, and it's a weird one, because when they're blue, it's too fucking late. It's more that they start to have that tinge
sort of
of
thing,
blue. Yeah. Spot those and tell them, like, fucking stop. Get something warm on, because you're not going to spot it in yourself. If you're shivering, I would hope that you've got the marbles upstairs to either get yourself a warm drink, get warm. Do you know what I mean? Like lads, lads will be sat in the cold with their hands out, but there's a reason why coppers and stuff like this. It's because they're keeping their hands warm.
Mm-hmm.
You know what I mean? Like, your armpits are a really warm place, and apart 3 fingers, it's really rude. But like, you can't see me, thank God. But if you put your hands down not down your crotch, but you can't see me, so hook them under the backs of your legs.
Yeah.
But by your crotch and close your legs, and again, you're going to keep your hands warm. But yeah, just make sure you wrap up warm. Move. That's it. Just fucking move. Get up, jog on the spot, blow your hands. You know what I mean? To warm yourself up. But it's about spotting it, because once you've started, like I said, you start with the shiver, then you might start getting really lethargic. So you might suddenly slow down, unsure, and be tired and stuff. That's the point where it gets too much. And then once they start to become sluggish, and they're not talking sense, and that's fucking. That's the point where it's a bit too late. That's when you kind of need to do something straight away, and it's about not getting to that point. But like I said, in England, you'd have to be. If you went to the lakes or the peaks, then a fucking 100%. Do you know what I mean? Once you start to get into a bit of altitude, even the little altitude that we have in this country, a bit of altitude and the weather turns, yeah. But if it's winter and it pisses it down again, that's when you might get it, because you're still in wet clothes. Do you know what I mean? So you're keeping your body can't warm itself up, because your body will shiver to warm itself up. That's why it does it. But it's not going to be able to if you piss wet through, because the water will hold that temperature really well. That's why I know you've banged on about it before, Lance, but wet and dry kit. Do you know what I mean? And there's some things, it sounds ridiculous. If you can only take some, all your dry kit should be body kit. If you can't fit a full spare kit, I don't know why you couldn't, but if you can't, make sure that what you do take is body kit, because this is the shit that you care about, because that's what's hypothermia is. It's your core body temperature, which is coming from here. Do you know what I mean? Like, your trousers will be wet and they'll be cold and they'll be fucking uncomfortable, but you're probably not going to get hypothermia from that, because as long as your body's warm, generally speaking, you're going to be grand.
Yes, exactly.
So But I
It's
would
like
always say
the half-size sleep mats, and it's like as long as you can keep your core warm, your legs take care of themselves, sort of thing.
Yeah, pretty much. Yeah. Well, I mean, it's going to be fucking uncomfortable, and it's going to suck, and you won't do it again. Which, you know, I mean, I don't mean to sound like a dick, probably not a bad thing, right? But you'll be all right if you can only take a few things. Make sure it's all upper body shit. But again, ideally, if you can't fit in the winter, if you can't fit in a change of clothes, then either your bag's not big enough or you're taking the wrong shit. So it's just that simple, because that should be more important than everything, including your gun. Do you know what I mean? Because
I mean, we've always said this with MilSims and that, mate. You've got to have the right kit on you and the right sort of the mindset, if you like, and the relative basic skills that you'd need to sort of take yourself off into the wilderness for a couple of days, or you know, in the loosest sense of the word, before you start worrying about like what guns and what scopes I'm going to need on the top of it. It's like, well, have you got an appropriate sleep system first, mate? Have you got this sorted out first? Have you got, like you say, your wet and dry kit?
Yeah, I mean, you know, you're not going to it's not like you're not going to survive, because it's not like you're on your own or anything, but it's going to ruin your weekend, and you're probably going to go home.
Yeah.
Do you know what I mean? You're just going to go home. So you've paid like.
It gives you the confidence as well, doesn't it? If you've got that good stuff, it gives you the confidence. You think, I can really enjoy this weekend now. I'm prepared for it. I haven't got to worry about that sort of stuff because I've got it all covered. You know, now I can
exactly.
It's good. It's good drills to have that sort of stuff on you and knowing how to use it as well. I had to laugh at Mike Brewer's comment there about the look for the other signs of it, and I just thought, Christ, you struggle to spot hypothermia at some MilSims with some people that attend them.
Yeah, if they're shivering, it's got the wrong way.
Interest, moaning their arse.
Oh yeah, like I said, yeah, Mike's bang on. The love for the lack of interest and shit.
Yeah, I encountered that at quite a few events, really. So I'd struggle to spot hypothermia, I reckon.
Oh my God, everyone here has hypothermia.
Why have you got hypothermia? It's the middle of the fucking summer.
Exactly.
That's what I'm going to put it down to. If I start moaning next time, Mike, at an event, it's like, are you hypothermic? I think
oh, bless it. Tony. So Tony's probably, I would say, he's the oldest guy in our team.
He's the matriarch, the senior.
Yeah. Bless him. He was walking back to the safe zone at one of the Legion events, and he had a little stumble down a rabbit hole. And I went sprinting over, going, "Don't let him fall. He's a fall risk."
He's a fall risk. Did you really? I didn't slap you for that.
It was pretty funny. Pretty funny.
We like that.
I've just realised. So just going through the chat, it's actually Andy Taylor's birthday today.
Happy birthday,
Andrew Taylor. So evening, fellas. Sorry I'm late. I've been out for birthday tea. So happy birthday, Andrew.
Happy birthday, mate. Many happy returns for the
day. Ed also asked. Sorry, I've got to find his comment. Oh, where's it gone?
Is it the shoulder one?
There we go. No, not that one. It was Rob. Were you the guy that let me shoot your last tag round at Longmoor?
Yes, I was. Yeah.
There you go.
If Edward is silly gilly, because I'm sure
he is, yeah.
That's it, yeah.
Then yeah, it was, mate. Yeah, you used my M4 as well, mate. And you didn't give me a hand job like you promised me you would, and you didn't give me a blowy afterwards either. So
exactly.
When your next video drops, mate, I'm going to give it a really bad fucking review. Man's a liar. Promises shit, doesn't deliver. Do not watch his videos.
Do not watch his videos. He is a liar. Oh,
I'm
dear.
Joking, mate. Yeah, I'm joking, dude.
Barry says, I've never been cold. I'm always sweating my balls off.
Fair play.
I can relate to that.
Yeah.
Cold
and bold, a friend of mine said, who's still serving now. He just said about cold, like winter drills and what clothing to wear in the winter and stuff like that. He said, if you can go sort of cold and bold, start off light and build up to it if you need to, because 9 times out of 10 you're going to be cutting about. You could well have a t-shirt and a light combat jacket on with your either a plate carrier and your webbing kit. He said if you're tabbing about doing this, that, and the other, he said you're going to be plenty warm enough, and it's going to let the heat escape from you quick enough to stop you sweating inside. So cold and bold was the methodology you went with there. I thought, well, that's fair enough. Yeah, makes sense. Going out like the fucking Michelin man. What? I'll do that anyhow without any layers on. So I've got to be careful.
The problem is it's easier to take shit out your bag and put it on, isn't it, than having to keep stopping to stow shit away. You know what I mean?
Definitely, mate, definitely.
Yeah. So the next one I want to talk about is burns, and that one's obviously quite personal for me because I have had a Mark 5 go off on my arm, and it did cause me quite a bit of grief. So Rage, I've got a Mark 5. It's got off my arm. What do I do?
the first thing you want to do
learn to throw Mark 5s.
Yeah, like throw a Mark 5 a little bit better, maybe wear something on over your arms if you're that dangerous with a Mark 5.
To be fair, can I clarify? It wasn't my Mark 5. It was thrown at me. I didn't just go yeah. Oh.
So move out the way. Maybe learn to move out the way. There's a handy
duck and
skill.
cover. Duck and cover.
Throwing back 5s, right? I think with burns, it depends how big they are. I mean, like the first thing you want to do is make sure it's clean. Like if there's a blister, don't fucking pop it. Especially like. I want to say, I'm assuming that your burn's like a reasonable size. If your burn's like the size of a penny, fucking do what you want. Do not knock yourself out. It's going to suck. It's going to sting like a bastard. Get cold water on it. There's a trick. I don't know if Terry's here. He might know this trick. There's a trick that I learned in the army a long fucking time ago. Like if you've got a little pissy little burn, you know, the annoying ones that you bitch and moan about for like 3 weeks and like think you're going to die, but it's actually the size of a pinhead. Put it under warm water for a few minutes. It's going to fucking hurt like you wouldn't believe. But after that, it doesn't hurt anymore. I think I don't know why, but it seems to work. We used to do it when I was in the army many years ago. But I wouldn't give that as professional advice. So, you know.
Is it tepid water for 20 minutes now, isn't it, or something?
Yeah.
Above the area.
Well, it's just cool. Yeah, cool water for 15 minutes. Like, when you're out and about, that's not realistic. It's not realistic. So it's about how bad it is. If it's a decent sized burn, once you start getting to burns that are like 1 inch, 2 inches, you kind of want to cover it because you want to protect that blister until you're somewhere safe. Do you know what I mean? If you're in, because you got to think that you're outside, you're not inside. And again, the reality is, if it's just a low level burn, like maybe first, feel the pain. You'll be fine. But burns are like blisters, but are worse. The risk of infection into a burn is fucking huge. Do you know what I mean? And what you're going to be left with is quite a nasty scar. Like, you know, I'm sure I would imagine anyone that cooks has got a fucking cracking scar from the grill shelf. Do you know what I mean? And the reason is because at some point the blister popped, or they popped it. They peeled it off, and then for about a week it was fucking red and sore. Well, that redness was because it was infected. And once the burn gets infected, it's going to... I mean, burns scar anyway because of how they affect your dermis. But an infection in a burner, you're just going to get fucking horrible scars. For something that's a really innocuous wound. Like, it's not like you were shot or you've fucking been stabbed. It's a pissy little burn, but it's going to leave you a nasty scar. So you need to fucking dress it. I know you guys talk about the cooling shit. That's great. Like, if you want to carry that, carry it. I don't carry it.
Yeah, I've got some here, actually. I carry it at work as well, because obviously we're in the underground, dirty, horrible tunnels and that. We ain't got access to like clean water. We do carry some water on us and that, but I'm trying to find me.
But I think as well, like it's, you know, you kind of tailoring it to that situation. Do you know what I mean? Like, I mean, I've never. I mean, certainly with like mountain and climbing and shit, you don't really need burn stuff because you're not going to burn yourself.
No burn shield.
Yeah. But for MilSims, I wouldn't take it. I just wouldn't. Do you know what I mean? I'd use water because I've got a bottle of water, and I will generally. If I'm going to be out for a day, I'm going to want like 4 litres of water on me, but I'm going to want 4 litres of water in my car, just in case. Like,
same as that. Yeah, I've got it
or something. So you can use that water and use that to cool it down. Just pour it on and cool it down. Do you know what I mean?
And this is we touched on a bit of this last night with regards to like carrying, like in your belt kit. If you've got 2 water bottles in there, just make sure it's got clean water in it. Don't be mixing squash in your water bottles and stuff like that. Have you
don't pour squash on a wound.
No, exactly that though, because you've got a bottle of clean water there, which you can use for obviously for drinking. But if you did need to use it for irrigating a wound or someone's eye for in an emergency or whatever, at least it's clean water. If you do want to drink squash, have a little concentrated squirty one, and you can put in a cup and add a bit of water to it. You know, keep your water bottles just for water. That's a big one.
Obviously, with the Holocaust, don't pour your water that you've been drinking out of in someone else's eye. If the Holocaust didn't exist, then you can use water to get shit out your eye. It's fine. And it's the same for a burn. It changes once if that blister's popped, which quite often happens. And, you know, like a thunder flash, it's probably going to burn the skin and you're not going to get a blister. And you've all seen it. It's like red raw and there'll be bits of brown around the edges of it from the burn instantly. You need to dress that. Even if it's a little one, you need to put a dressing on it. Because, again, it's just to be safe. If you're at home, you wouldn't. Then that's fine. I mean, I probably would if I was at home. But if you'd be fine, but you're not at home, you're outside where all the fucking bacteria and germs and shit live. And infections are generally pretty bad. I mean, most of the time you're going to get an infection, you're going to fight it off, you're probably not going to fucking know about it. I bet most of us have a bit of fingernail, a bit too short, and then you get the little bit of pus that comes up here, you squeeze it, hurts for a few days, and it goes on. You're going to be fine. but it's that time that you're not fine. You know what I mean? It's that time when you're in a place that's got fucking Legionnaire's disease, or what you've not realised is you've got shit on your arm and you didn't know it was there because you've been, you've had dirt on you, you've been rolling through the fucking mud, and there's bits of shit on you. That's when you're going to start getting introduced to quite nasty infections pretty quickly. So put a dressing on it and get, you want to irrigate it with saline, because it's sterile. But I think I said to you last night, if you you can buy Pontazam, which is like a medicated saline, so it's got like antibacterial properties. It kind of.
Oh yeah, yes, they're similar to what we've got at work. I don't know if I've got any in my kit actually.
And you can irrigate the wound with that, and then you want a sterile dressing. But the really important thing is it needs to be a non-adhesive sterile dressing. If you don't have a non-adhesive sterile dressing, don't put a dressing on it. You're better off not having a dressing on it than putting on a dressing that will stick to it, because all that's you're going to open it and it's going to make it fucking worse. Cling film. I mean, if you want to take cling film in the boot, you can't take cling film. You can just fucking wrap cling film on it, and you're going to be all right. Right, but if you've not got a blister, you want to put a dressing on it basically, and then just keep it clean. And again, you'll probably be fine. It's when it starts to get like to 2nd and 3rd degrees and areas. Well, if you've got a big fucking burn that's like that sort of size, you're probably going. You're going to need to go and get that checked out. You know what I mean? Again, it's the same sort of things. We're probably not going to have a dressing that size, so clean it. Do you know what I mean? And go to a doctor, go to a hospital. It's just not. The risk of infection with burns is too great, even in healthy people. Like a lot of burn victims will die from it. It's an infection that will kill them. Do you know what I mean? And if it's a really bad burn, it's reasonable that you might have burnt through your nerves, so you don't really feel it, and that's even worse because you're not going to know when an infection gets in because it's not going to sting. You know what I mean? But you're looking for
Ray, sorry, mate. The sort of scenario where, say, you've got a burn on the arm, but the actual burn went through some clothing material, so there's a potential of the material being sort of stuck to it, but there's also dirt there. I mean, how would you sort of? Is it just like irrigate as best as possible and leave the material
so you can irrigate
in place?
dirt. Irrigate dirt. I mean, I think nowadays you'd be hard pressed to. A lot of decent kit isn't going to stick to if it melts. Like it's that. I want to say polythene, but it's not polyester. Oh, for fuck's sake, I can't get this bastard thing back here. But if you've burnt yourself quite badly and you've got your clothing stuck to it, you're going to need to go and see someone. You are, so they can remove it carefully and safely. You know what I mean? Again, you could pull the fucker off. It's going to fucking hurt. But it's what it's going to take with it when you rip it off. Is it going to turn like a burn into a really deep wound because you've also ripped off a big chunk of flesh where it's stuck to it? Do you know what I mean? Because the problem with the burn is you can see it's going to be all the layers underneath that are going to be damaged as well.
Yeah.
So you're going to need to go somewhere and get it removed. But I mean, there's an easy solution to that, Lance, and that's buy half decent kit. Do you know what I mean? Stay away from. Yeah, there you go. What he says.
Don't peel it off. Exactly. Yeah.
Yeah, you're going to need to go and see someone that does it. Do you know what I mean?
Just tying back to the irrigation, because something I really wanted to touch on, being that you mentioned it last night, I hadn't even thought about it, was we sort of vaguely discussed briefly previously about if you've got some squash or Coke, at least it's allowing you to wash it out.
No, don't do that.
And the reason that you don't do that, you were mentioning about sugars.
Yeah, so... I mean, for a start, it's not sterile, but the sugars and shit, it's weird because we use honey, which is fucking sugar, to heal wounds. But when you start pouring squash and they've got fucking dirty chemical sugars in it and stuff, you're just going to encourage infection. Do you know what I mean? Coca-Cola, especially. I mean, if anyone of a certain age has seen what Coca-Cola does to fucking teeth, right? You've all seen that video and done that at school where you drop a tooth in a fucking... Or drop, like, a good one is even now, you drop a fucking dirty penny.
Oh, that's right, yeah. Comes out gleaming.
And then literally, like the next day, it's fucking gleaming, and you're like, "Well, fuck me." You want to pour that shit into a wound? Yeah, fucking crack on. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah, but you should see my insides; they're shiny.
Yeah, exactly.
Look at my teeth. Look how pearly white these are.
Exactly. Yeah. I mean, again, you'd probably be okay, but I wouldn't fucking do that. You know what I mean? I mean, when you should be carrying water. Like I said, you can buy fucking saline. It's fucking pennies, man. Do you know what I mean? It's fucking pennies. No, or even just if you're too tight to buy saline, buy a 500ml bottle of fucking spring water and don't open it. Do you know what I mean?
Exactly that. Yeah, perfect, mate. Yeah, definitely.
Boom. It's not going to be sterile, but there's not going to be a lot of bacteria in it. It's going to be better for you than pouring fucking Coca-Cola into a wound. I just don't. I mean, I imagine that would fucking hurt as well. I mean, I don't know. I've never done it, but I imagine it would sting a little fucking bit. I mean, if you're going to do that shit, just carry iodine or fucking hydrogen peroxide.
Next time I damage myself, I'm going to pour Coke on it for science.
Yeah, do it.
Blazing a trail for science.
No, I wouldn't do that shit.
The week after, so my arm fell off.
Yeah, don't do that. I can confirm. Well, on that note, then, Rage, what would be Rob? Sorry, mate. What would be sort of like for you, for anyone, for a skirmisher, for a MilSimmer, for someone who's just going out for a trek across the forest for a day? What would be sort of like the minimum kit that you would say you must be carrying if you're doing these sort of outdoor activities and that? You're a fool not to be carrying a first aid kit, regardless. Even one in your vehicle, one in the cupboard at home. Everyone should have one, regardless. A basic first aid kit. What would be your sort of go-to setup for a MilSim event just for your personal kit? Not for a team or anything, just for you'd carry on just for dealing out with your issues, sort of thing, and whatnot.
So I've got this is the one. This goes on my belt, and it's the Warrior one, I think it is. Yeah, it's the Warrior Medics pouch, like rip off Medics pouch, so it just rips off. You don't have to fuck about detaching it. So you can see that Velcro, that lights in the way. Velcro back, and so you can literally just rip it off. You don't need to do it. So I have a couple of these sort of bandages here. Now, you can't. I wouldn't necessarily. I mean, you probably don't need these. I take them. You'd have to use a dressing with this, and you couldn't use this to splint someone. The bandage isn't elastic enough or strong enough for you. It's not really going to fucking give you any support. But I take one of those to apply dressing to. I take. You've seen the dressings that you get in first aid kits. Like I said, I mean, these are just cheap ones.
Yeah. I've got the same as well.
So it's a bandage on a dressing. When you put that on, tie the knot over the dressing, just to add that little bit of pressure. Because it's like, if you go back to what someone said a few episodes ago about applying a tourniquet to a bad wound, no, apply pressure directly to the fucking wound. That's all you need to do. Right? And the reality is you're probably not going to. I say that, and then the next MilSim I go to, my leg's going to fucking fall off. You're probably not going to come across an arterial bleed. You know what I mean? I just doubt that that's going to happen to you. But if someone's bleeding a lot, you just put the right pressure, and that's what these are for. So you wrap it around, and then you fucking tie the knot on top of the wound. It's going to hurt, but it's add that extra bit of pressure. So I've got one of those. You see, I carry a spray for things, but it's not an aerosol one. It's a pump one, and that's just for cuts and fucking. And it's more. Again, you'd probably be right, but I just use it because I am getting fucking old, so I think my immune system's probably not as good as it fucking used to be. Do you know what I mean? But these are really good. Again, I'm not a fan of the aerosol ones because...
And that's an antiseptic sort of pump.
It's just an antiseptic spray, yeah.
Oh, okay.
Again, going to sting like a bastard, but for greys and shit like that, it's going to be perfect. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah, that's a good sting, isn't it? Because you know it's cleaning it, sort of thing.
I don't know if it's a good sting. I don't know about that.
I quite like it. Not gonna lie.
I don't like the aerosol ones because at some point some idiot's going to spray it into a bad cut and they're just going to embed shit into the cut. Do you know what I mean? So I don't like aerosol ones, but they work. They, if you're going to use them properly for your greys and shit, then they're fucking bang on. They're perfect. But again, it's going to sting like a bastard. I have proper shears. Now these are titanium, and I didn't buy them because of titanium. Because they're titanium, they don't come loose as quick. Because what fucks shears up is that they come loose. The more you use them, the looser this bolt becomes, and that's where shears aren't sharp. If you've got a pair, run your finger down them, you can't cut yourself. They shear things, they don't cut things. But they come loose, whereas a decent set that, you're going to have to pay like 30, 40 quid for, they're not going to come loose, so you can reuse them. And I don't think normal people, that everyone would need these. I carry these in case I need to cut someone's clothes off. That's why I carry them. Do you know what I mean? Like, if I finally caught them and there's no witnesses about, I can, easy access.
It's part of the prisoner process at a MilSim to remove
exactly.
I'd like to just let you know that Rage is my new business partner for the murder bags.
But I carry. I mean, I'll give you points if you know what that is, folks.
Oh, is that the old throat? Airway
I told you that's an all found GL airway. But I only carry the one size because, generally speaking, the adult men that I'm going to be playing airsoft with, so I only like a size 4 is probably going to fit everyone. Do you know what I mean? Yeah. But again, don't carry that. I can use this. I imagine that lad that the EMT might be able to, but if you can't use shit,
you
don't
might be
carry
able
it.
to, yeah.
I don't carry a triangular bandage. I was saying this to you last night. I don't. That's the one. Yeah. Boom.
Dental
He's a
down.
medical professional. Clearly, he knows. I don't take a triangular bandage because a lot of people can't fucking use them. Do you know what I mean? People think it's that easy. It's really fucking not. Like, and if you don't know how to use something, don't fucking carry it. Do you know what I mean? Because if you don't know how to use it, it doesn't matter whether you need it or not. If you don't know how to fucking use it, it's not going to help you, is it? So don't fucking carry it, because using something in first aid or any kind of injury, using something that you don't know how to do is going to make it fucking worse. And something that is just a bit of a, oh fuck me, that hurts, that's going to suck, can turn into, look at me, I can't clap anymore because I've lost my fucking arm. You know what I mean? It's just, it's not fucking worth it, is it? You know. But yeah, I've got dressings. I've got lots of different dressings, but that's because I could fit them in the pack. But just those wound dressings of different sizes. I think these ones are 8x10, and I've got some 10x10 ones. They're essentially big fucking plasters. So if you've got like a nice long cut, again, at home you probably wouldn't do anything, and I'd be 50-50 as to whether I do something at an event. But I always think it's better if you've got a reasonable cut. It's better to cover it when you're outside, because if you don't, you might be a bit reluctant to do so. I know I can whack a dressing on it, carry on about my day, fucking crawl through the mud, whatever. I'll probably be okay. But it's always worth covering it. I have painkillers just because I'm fucking old and I need painkillers.
Sounded what's that? Just paracetamol, ibuprofen sort of thing.
So I have antihistamines, paracetamol. I tend not to carry ibuprofen because it doesn't agree with me. Cocodamol. If I know it's going to be a long event, I'll take diazepam as well. But that's because I've had a back injury, so diazepam is really good for back injuries. But the one thing, I'm going to sound like such a sad old man. Don't fucking randomly give people drugs. Like, just don't fucking do it, because if you're in a team and your mate says, "Have you got any paracetamol?" then yeah, give it to them. But if someone asks you, don't say yeah and give it to them. It's just not fucking worth it, because you might say, "Oh no, I've not got that, but I've got some cocodamol. I've got this." They take it and they fucking drop dead because they're allergic to it and never knew it. Do you know what I mean? If you carry drugs, I would say you carry them for yourself, not to give to other people.
That's it. Yeah.
It's just not fucking worth that. It's just not worth it. And again, I'm talking like this. I think it comes from being a mental health nurse. It's just like, just don't fucking give people tablets. Just don't fucking do it. Like, if you ask me, because I give it to you, and if the lads I went with, if they asked me, I'm like, yeah, of course you can. But if a random player said, "Oh, have you got any of this?" I'd be like, yeah, probably not. Because it's just not worth it. You don't know what they're allergic to. You don't know what they've taken. You just don't fucking know. But that's probably more based on the fact that I'm a psychiatric nurse than anything else. Plasters. I really like Tesco plasters. I don't know why I really like Tesco plasters, but they stick real good. So I carry some Tesco plasters. I'm not going to get it out because it's buried in there, but I've got, the breakable ice packs.
Mm-hmm.
Oh yeah.
I've got
the cold compress things. Yeah.
That's the one. Yeah, I've got a breakable one. They're about, you can't really see. It's about that sort of size. I don't know if you can see that, but it's right at the back, at the bottom.
Nice.
They're really good to have. Like we said earlier, you banged your head. Like, some people would put it on and it's going to help. You roll an ankle, put it on there, it's going to help. You need people of my age. Your knee hurts, put it on your knee. It'll make it feel a bit better. You know what I mean? I've got Prontazan. The triangular bandage, which is the thing that I said I don't carry. Turns out I do. I've got it in there. But that's your sling, like a triangular bandage. But you can use it for head wounds as well. So they're good because you can, especially if it's on the top of the head, you can, sounds really fucking gay, but you can do a pirate bandana. So you tie it around the head, and then the flap you can put over, and it will hold a dressing onto the top of someone's head.
Yeah, cool.
It's quite a good thing. It's quite a good thing to do. Your hypothermia blanket, everyone should carry that. I mean, I would say your minimum is one of these, like a dressing with a bandage, some adhesive dressings, a hypothermia blanket, and either some Prontazan or some saline. And that's all you're going to need. You can fit it in a little pouch. I've got a bit more just because I know how to use it. Like I said, I've got an airway, and in my car, I've got a bag mask.
Mm-hmm.
I've got eye gels as well. I don't know if I got it out and put it down here, but
I was just going to say, Rob, actually, I've got a little first aid kit here. So this one's from Amazon. This is the Clay Roberts first aid kit. I think it's like £9. So what would you add to this? Oh, there you go. Look. So what would you add to this? So we've got.
The first
Let
thing
me
I
just
would
run
do,
through what it includes. So we've got a series of bandages, some antiseptic swabs, an interesting looking pair of scissors, triangular bandage, some first aid tape, some gloves, safety pins, and what looks like an elastic bandage. Oh, and a sterile gauze pad as well.
Yeah. So you want to keep. I personally would fucking bin the scissors because they're not going to cut anything anyway. I'd bin the safety pins because I don't like them, but that's a personal preference. You'd use the safety pins to put through a bandage. I'm not a fan. I'll just rip the end of a bandage and tie it, but that's a personal preference. You know, you're not going to need it, I suppose. I'd bin the latex gloves because they're shit. They're just shit. You know what I mean? They are. And the thing to remember, and the gloves in first aid kits are for your protection. They're not for someone else's because they're not sterile. Do you know what I mean? So they're just to protect you from fucking touching people. Well, they don't protect anyone else. So I'd bin them. Like they're pointless. My experience is the plasters are pretty shit, but give them a try. If they're okay, then fucking keep them. But if they're shit, just bin them. Because I find that they don't stick very well. The adhesive's not very good. And just buy decent ones like that. But other than that, that's like perfect. It is perfect. But as I said, I'd change the scissors for something half decent. Do you know what I mean? My experience of the scissors in like your cheap first aid kits are just crap. They don't cut anything. Do you know what I mean? Well,
yeah. So you suggest adding like the little saline things as well to that?
Yeah, I take. I mean, the thing is, I don't know if you can see, but these have got antiseptic swabs and wipes. So actually, you can use those instead. Do you know what I mean? So you could get away without it. I would say yes, take it, but again, it's about you want to make sure that you know how to use it. So, irrigate a wound downwards away. Don't just hold it flat and fucking squid on it and do nothing. But the wipes will do it. They're just, again, it's just going to hurt a bit. You know what I mean? Right. I'd maybe add some of this actually. Thinking about it, add that because it's such a small the physio tape or the sniper tape or whatever you guys call the camo stuff is bang on for strapping people up, and it means you don't have to take a crate bandage. Right? Because I find some of those first aid kits, the bandages are all right, and some of them they're shit. They're just not gonna do what you want them to do. So, but yeah, those things you don't need. They'll have the dressings in as well. If you see those kits have got those like square 5x4, 5x5 dressings in, so you keep them. It is literally bin the plasters, bin the scissors, add in something. Maybe add the liquid that's got saline. Thank you, the saline, and I'd put that in, and that's all you need. I'd bin the pouch though because the pouch aren't very good. Yeah. I recommend having something that you can get out quickly and open quickly. Do you know what I mean? Like that's all would always be my thing. But I have one that I carry in my bag as well. Mm-hmm. So I've essentially got two, but this has got more stuff in it. It's got more bands. It's got like different size airways in it. It's got more stuff in it that if I needed to actually be a nurse for 10 minutes, I could be a nurse. Do you know what I mean? Right. But I don't think most people need that. I mean, I would say get a decent pair of scissors, and if you've got the money, I'd get the Leathermans because you can use them for fucking lots of things. Do you know what I mean? Because a decent pair of scissors is actually, it's quite good because you might want to cut a dressing to fit the size and all sorts of things. And honestly, my experience of first aid kit scissors are that they are shit. Yeah. Like they wouldn't even cut my beard. You know what I mean? Like,
nothing would cut through that.
Well, there is that. Like, you have to take extremity to it. Like, but they are generally
a thunderbolt from Zeus wouldn't even go through that bad boy.
Right, there's a few very quick fire questions because I'm conscious that we're approaching the end of the screen. Ed asked, Rob, do you have any advice for those that suffer from headshots? Symptoms include loud shouting and red faces.
So, I do. But I can't imagine a lot of people are going to like it. Like, the first thing I would say is, don't deliberately shoot someone in the head. But the flip side to that is, it's a fucking BB, not a bullet. You're not going to fucking die from getting shot in the head by a plastic fucking BB. So if they start shouting, I mean, you've seen me, Ed. I'm quite an imposing figure. People tend not to shout at me very often. I'm quite lucky. Apparently I look like I might fucking come around your house and eat your babies. So I'm quite lucky. But I would just point and go, you're a cunt, mate, and laugh at them and walk away. Because it's their own fucking stupid fault.
Yeah.
I mean,
if you don't want to get shot in the head,
it's not a bullet.
You know, if you can avoid it, avoid it. If you can't, if the head's the only thing on display, take the head. You know, if you don't want to get shot in the head, wear a full face mask. You know, what else can you do?
My local site is the jail, which is a CQB place, and I play that in glasses and a gumshoe. I've been shot in the face so many fucking times, and yes, it hurts for about 5 minutes, and that's it. It's not a real bullet, so just call them a pussy and move about your nose. I mean, don't. Like, I don't call them, but I mean, I think it's okay to call them a cunt. Yeah.
Harry Badger says, are Steri strips
Do you know how
worth
to
carrying?
use them? Would be my question. If you don't know how to use them, then no. And the thing is if you're out and about and you've got a wound that requires a Steri strip, you need to stop doing what you're doing. Because that's a wound. The deeper a wound gets, the more your risk of infection is. And that risk of infection changes from like, you don't even notice you've got an infection, to an infection that requires debridement. So you start getting, you need Steri strips, that's a fucking deep wound. The risk of infection that causes from being out playing in the mud is quite dramatic. That gets infected, that's going to need to be debrided, which means they're going to cut away some of your flesh, which at best case scenario is you're going to have a fucking horrible scar, pain, and suffering for a while that heals. And it is going to, if you know who Tyler Gray is, you'll have scars like him. Do you know where it looks like there's literally bits of you missing? Because they've had to remove flesh, and your body will only regrow it so much. You know what I mean? Before you're just going to get lots of scar tissue. So I personally would say no, don't take them. Because again, if you've got a fucking wound that needs them, you probably want to go and get that treated.
Yeah.
If you know how to use them and you're confident in yourself, then yeah, by all means. I don't carry them. Do you know what I mean? I've got them in this kit in my bag, but I don't carry them on the kit that's on me all the time. Do you know what I mean? I'd use them on someone, but I would be telling them that you need to stop now. You know, this is the end of your day. Do you know what I mean? I'd just go and fucking go home or do something. Or if you want to carry on, just make sure you've got a really nice dressing. Because the thing is you might put Steri strips on something that needs stitching. Do you know what I mean? And if you think you need that, I'd just stop and fucking go and get it checked, right? Because you're not a medical professional. And I mean, if you're a medical professional, fucking knock yourself out. I'd probably use them on myself if I really needed to, but I'm going to take that risk based on the knowledge that I have. You know what I mean?
Right, well, we're going to have to call it a day because we are running out of time, and I know Lance has to dash off because you've got work.
Well, sucks to me, isn't it?
I think probably what we're going to do is we'll do a part 2 of this at some point because there's a lot of interest in the chat, and I feel that we can almost do like a general first aid Q&A at some point. So, Rage, Rob, if you'd like to come back at some point, that'd be awesome. Thank you for coming on, though. It's been
we appreciate
fantastic.
it, mate. Thanks for giving me time.
That's right. Excuse me.
So next week we're talking about admin in the field, I believe. Yes. So keeping your stuff squared away in the field, how to deal with that, and all of that lovely stuff. And we have the debut of the website, which will be released. So that'll be going live as of next week, and we've got some exciting features on there. In the meantime, if you want to get in touch, feel free at nofochat@hotmail.com. Instagram is November_Foxtrot_Nofo. Facebook is November Foxtrot Nofo. And YouTube is youtube.com/c/November Foxtrot. Other than that, again, Rage, Rob, thanks ever so much for coming on, mate. It's genuinely, it's awesome doing these skills and drills because it means we can get people who actually know what they're talking about.
I mean, I wouldn't go that far.
There's only so much blagging we can do, if I'm honest.
I wouldn't go that far to say that I know what I'm talking about.
It's more than if Lance and I were just giving it a go. Yeah, just pour Coke on it, it'll be fine.
Fucking
Or
don't.
failing that, super glue.
Yeah.
Like if I can leave you with 2 really good bits of advice, don't pour fucking Coke on a wound and don't carry a fucking tourniquet because some fucking idiot is going to wrap it around your head when you get a fucking nosebleed and you're going to end up like a fucking vegetable out of a fucking Robin Williams film. Just those 2 things. Don't do those 2 things and you'll be fine.
Cool. Right. Well, thanks everyone for joining us. Join us next week, Wednesday, 8:00, and we shall see you then. Say goodbye, everyone.
Goodbye, everyone.
Goodbye, everyone.
See you later.
Good night, all.